Welcome to the show today. Great show. And the name of the show is Voters Forum. I'm your host, Wale Ogunade. And today's show is the second leg of what we did last week. I'll not let the cat out of the bag until I've introduced my co-host. Then we'll go to the mini feature after I've introduced the topic. Speak to the topic a bit. And who is my co-host?
Yes, it's good to be here again. Good afternoon, sir. It's good to be on the show with you. My name is Ruth Blossom. And of course, you're welcome to Voters Forum. Do not forget we're streaming live on all our social media platforms at Galaxy TV, Twitter, Facebook. You can join us live. And there is a number that will be displayed below your screen TV. You can send in text messages to air your opinions. But while you're doing that, please make sure you indicate your name and your location. You are very welcome again to the program. Today is going to be interesting.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting one because we have brought to you an interesting topic and equally an interesting guest. Now, what's the topic? Security. Welfare, the essence of government. Welfare. And of course, it is captured in section 14, subsection 2, subsection B, that security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. The primary purpose, which means security and welfare is the main purpose of government. So, why are we having issues of welfare? Why are we having issues of security as at now? Year 2024. And we know in other climes, once you are 18, government provides for you. There is what we call the government allocation that they do. But in Nigeria, unfortunately, if events that has happened in the recent past is anything to go by, found out that the various government allocation, the scheme by government to the people, has now been diverted to some private pockets, and all has become a scandal now. Anyway, those are the issues we want to look at. Are we entitled to being taken care of by government, or government should just leave us and, of course, everybody to his home? Oh, ye Israel? I don't know. I know we have a guest who knows all this. Let's just listen to the mini feature, then we'll get cracking. Don't go away.
Term welfare refers to a range of government programs that provide financial or other aid to individuals or groups who cannot support themselves. Welfare programs are typically funded by taxpayers and allow people to cope with financial stress during rough periods of their lives. In most cases, people who benefit from welfare will receive a bi-weekly or monthly payment. The goals of welfare vary, as it looks to promote the pursuit of work, education, or in some cases, a better standard of living. Welfare systems assist individuals and families through healthcare, food assistance, unemployment, compensation, housing assistance, and childcare support. Government welfare is primarily aimed at people with little to no income, aging adults, and people with disabilities. A person lacking education or who cannot currently provide for themselves also might be provided welfare. In this case, the person would be expected to receive training or take steps towards financial independence. Federal and state governments are mandated by the Constitution to provide financial or other assistance for housing, food and healthcare to individuals and families who meet specific guidelines. Welfare is the essence of government, and the Federal Ministry of Social Development, Youth and Sports has the function to coordinate the welfare service delivery for different states. In the past, government has provided welfare policies in Nigeria meant to reduce poverty, like Operation Feed the Nation, Green Revolution, Better Life for Rural Women, Family Economic Advancement Program, and so on. Going forward, government needs to further put in place welfare programs to alleviate poverty in the land. We must have rapid, equitable economic growth, controlled population increase, competent economic management, and great governance. However, Challenges of social welfare in Nigeria are poor funding of education, welfare and infrastructures in Nigeria by government, individuals and other organizations. Some of these in the profession are not qualified or duly trained as a result of inadequate instructional materials. In addition, government's commitment to seeking full effect of social work in the country was lagging behind by not providing a conducive environment for its operations. In all, it is evident that Nigeria needs to put in more effort to meet up with other developed countries in establishing viable welfare program. It is on this ground that the country can have desired development through feasible policy agenda stated and executed within confines of the law. Report written by Teslim Ajayi of Galaxy Television.
What a wonderful report by our correspondent, my director, Teslim Ajayi. And I won't say he has said it all. What he did is that he had just given you a taste of the pudding. What we'll be doing now is to now go breaking the pudding and for us to eat together. Let's enjoy the meal. And the person who is going to serve us this meal this afternoon is no other person than Barrister Kingsley Chime. Barrister Kingsley Chime. And Barrister Kingsley Chime is human rights activist, developmental expert, a legal juggernaut. Let me put everything together and we'll be cooking that one and chopping it. Be that as it may. You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Welcome to the show, Barrister. Good to have you on King.
It's a pleasure.
What is the name of this your cap? Because I know there are different ones. No, this is not Ezendibo. I know there are some, they will have a green like this one, yes. Some it will be all red, some it will be another color,
Honestly, color. I don't know.
You just put one because I know that there are different types.
I don't know.
Anyway, don't worry. Well, maybe we'll cap you as the Galaxy.
Ezendibo Galaxy.
We'll give you one title, don't worry.
Thank you so much.
Are known, particularly the traditional people.
Yes, this
they know how to couch and conjure and manufacture titles. No,
yes.
titles. And you know, Nigerians like titles.
Very well.
We will tell you to address them.
Very well. Thank you so much.
That's true. They will say, address me by my title. Yes, let's leave that one. So, my brother, the welfare of the people. As couched, I want you to give us, as a legal practitioner, as couched by section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Bade, for having me.
You're welcome.
I think you have made the point very clearly in your introductory speech that section 14, sub 2B of the Constitution, provides that the welfare and the security of citizens should be the primary responsibility of every government. And I want to add, for every responsible government.
Responsible.
Because one thing is to have it good in our laws. Another thing is for the implementation of those beautiful provisions. So yes, the Constitution, provided under that section 14 that government should place the welfare, the well-being, and the security of its citizens at the front burner. The implication is that when the government that fails in providing security and adequate welfare to cater for the overall well-being of the citizens, it has failed. It is as very simple as that. And if we look at the social contract theory, upon which the legislators that developed this into a codified document, the social contract theory simply envisages a situation where the citizens or citizenry has divested its individual rights into a central government for the purpose of efficient and effective distribution of natural.
No doubt. Sorry. You see, this program is not for you, the high class. It's for the low class. That language now is too much for my people. Divesting their right.
Nigerians
to
are educated people.
I know. Not that I'm abusing the intelligence of Nigerian people.
Clearly.
But majority of those who watch this program are the people at the low class who are not too versed with the technical language of the legal profession. Okay. That's why I say this is diverse. What do you mean by divesting their power to some people?
They have really, they have submitted their individual rights to the government, you know, so that government will be the one to control how their collective rights are to be exercised. So the implication is that when they have given out this their right to government, government has the responsibility or mandate ensuring that they distribute those resources equitably and ensure that the welfare and the well-being of the people are well, you know, taken care of.
Yes, welfare of the people taken care of by government. Our Zoom guests, are you there? Mala Mishaya, can you come up if he's there? Can we connect him? Can we connect him?
Malam is not available yet. Okay.
It's all right.
It's not available yet.
When he's available, just bring him in, then we introduce him.
Okay, yes, I have a question for you. Like, we're talking about the welfare of the essence of the government. Now, so far so good. We know that the welfare of the country is being jeopardized. Let's just say a lot of people do not have that. What way can we use to make sure that the government play this role of having the welfare of the people as one of their major priorities according to the Constitution?
Yes, thank you so much. I think this principle of welfareism, or principle that government has a responsibility to provide adequate security and welfare of the people, is predicated on the fact of certain policies of government, because government must come out with policies that will trickle down into, you know, establishing this welfare of the people. First of which is ensuring honesty and transparency in government. People must be able to see their leaders whom they have divested their rights as honest people who has the intention of the people to provide these basic amenities. The challenge with this is that much as these intentions were made known by the drafters of the Constitution, our own laws, particularly Chapter 2, where this Section 14(2)(b) was, you know, codified, does not make it a duty for the government. It is a directive principle. It was merely to direct the mind and the heart of the government towards the essential or fundamental principles of government. So more often than not, what we face or what we see is that most of the leaders whom we have divested these rights choose to look the other way around, or choose to, you know, represent their own personal interests at the detriment of the generality of Nigerians. And because that Section 14(2) is not justiciable, when we talk about justiciability, it is not enforceable. You cannot take governments, take them to court for them to implement some of these beautiful provisions that we are provided for under the Constitution. So that is part of the challenge Nigeria particularly are facing towards holding their leaders responsible for not providing this basic welfare for their people. But generally, for us to have, or for us to ensure that government, meets with the fundamental objective for which government is in government, is anchored on rule of law. We must also ensure that the government in place also follows the provisions of the law in implementing those policies. Because
sorry to interject. Now the thing is, a lot of people actually, yes, the government has to follow the policies, but some people still believe that the people, the citizens itself, are one of the major reasons why the government do not focus on their welfare.
Well, maybe because of nonchalance of the people. Over the years, Nigerian people, have been, they feel disenchanted, they feel disillusioned about, the policies of government. More often than not, every government that comes on board, comes up with promises that they were going to do this. But over time, they begin to see that government has deviated from the core mandate upon which they are government. So there is lack of trust, there is total disenchantment. People no longer feel that government are there for their own interests. They feel that they were there for their own personal aggrandizement. So that is why we see that citizens do no longer, care about what their leaders are doing. So everybody is about to your tent, oh Israel. But I believe that if citizens, continue to hold these leaders, accountable, they will be forced to implement these basic amenities that will ensure that government, it provides this welfare and well-being for the people.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is all right. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll get cracking. Maybe by then we'll be lucky. Our Zoom guests will be able to join us. Don't go away.
The term welfare refers to a range of government programs that provide financial or other aid to individuals or groups who cannot support themselves. Welfare programs are typically funded by taxpayers and allow people to cope with financial stress during rough periods of their lives. In most cases, people who benefit from welfare will receive a bi-weekly or monthly payment. The goals of welfare vary as it looks to promote the pursuit of work, education, or in some cases a better standard of living. Welfare systems assist individuals and families through healthcare, food assistance, unemployment, compensation, housing assistance, and childcare support. Government welfare is primarily aimed at people with little to no income, aging adults, and people with disabilities. A person lacking education or who cannot currently provide for themselves also might be provided welfare. In this case, the person would be expected to receive training or take steps towards financial independence. Federal and state governments are mandated by the Constitution to provide financial or other assistance for housing, food and healthcare to individuals and families who meet specific guidelines. Welfare is the essence of government, and the Federal Ministry of Social Development, Youth and Sports has the function to coordinate the welfare service delivery for different states. In the past, government has provided welfare policies in Nigeria meant to reduce poverty, like Operation Feed the Nation, Green Revolution, Better Life for Rural Women, Family Economic Advancement Program, and so on. Going forward, government needs to further put in place welfare programs to alleviate poverty in the land. We must have rapid, equitable economic growth, controlled population increase, competent economic management, and great governance. However, challenges of social welfare in Nigeria are poor funding of education, welfare, and infrastructures in Nigeria by government, individuals, and other organizations. Some of these in the profession are not qualified or duly trained as a result of inadequate instructional materials. In addition, government's commitment to seeking full effect of social work in the country was lagging behind by not providing a conducive environment for its operations. In all, it is evident that Nigeria needs to put in more effort to meet up with other developed countries in establishing viable welfare program. It is on this ground that the country can have desired development through feasible policy agenda stated and executed within confines of the law. Report written by Teslim Ajayi of Galaxy Television.
Welcome back. This issue of welfare is an interesting one, and it's something that all of us must be involved in, because the vote for welfare is there. That is the essence of government. So why is government not taking care of the interests of the people, Barrister? The vote is there. Can we match it with the recent development that billions of naira were allocated to some office to take care of people, and they decide to be sharing it amongst themselves? Don't forget, this is not the first time.
Yes.
In the recent past, during COVID period, billions of naira equally were allocated to feed even the vulnerable school children, not the children of the rich this time.
Yes, I recall, and even during that period,
the minister then said she fed almost half of the country's children, and she did it in her bedroom because we didn't know where she did it. She was telling us in Lagos. She was telling us she did it in Kwara. She was telling us she did it in Abuja. And we have people, we members of the civil society are spread all over Nigeria. And when we called her, we told her to call and let us see. Let her point to, government abracadabra. The whole thing went down. Of course, another issue was raised and the noise shifted.
I think simply put, it boils down to failure of leadership. I recall also during that COVID period, there were instances where palliatives were even being hoarded, and people were breaking into warehouses, to get their palliatives. So it boils down to failure of leadership generally. And the point is that where any government fails in providing basic welfare, particularly security for its people, citizens, that government has failed. There's no other way to put it. So it boils down to failure of leadership, because that is the fulcrum, that is the fundamental principles of government. That is why government is in place. So if you cannot provide this basic welfare of the people, there is no point having a government in place. Of course, following the developing story about particular ministry that is currently being embroiled with allegation of misappropriation of fund, like you pointed out, this is not the first time, and perhaps may not even be the last. This is the one that is in the public domain. What about those ones who don't know? So it has become, avenue for people, you chop, I chop. It's opportunity for people. If you are in government, it's now a platform for you to then take whatever belongs to you at the detriment of the generality of citizenry. But that shouldn't be the primary responsibility of a government. Any government that is shying away from this basic principle, has failed, and should carry their bag and leave the government houses. That is just pure and simple. Because Nigerians should not continue, to be put in this state every now and then. It has become a recurrent experience. Because how on earth are we going to explain that a ministry that is primarily entrusted to provide some security from form of palliatives, or humanitarian services for the people, turn around to become something unimaginable? Even if another ministry is going to be involved in this type of scandal, it shouldn't be a humanitarian ministry where the core essence of government should be predicated upon. So over the years, like I was saying before the break, that it is because of this government's inability to provide this social security and social welfare for these people that has made Nigerian people to begin to take laws into their hands. Some have also gotten into criminalities. We are seeing several reports of banditry and kidnapping, particularly in the state capital, in the FCT, where it has become the order of the day, because people feel that since the government cannot provide for them, I'm not trying to justify criminality in any way. I cannot justify it. But I'm saying that these are some of the causes, because every reaction has an equal, every response, there is a reaction to it. So these are some of the things that necessitate all this type of crime. If government must make it a duty, to ensuring that citizens are well protected, because security, I'm reluctant to speak more on security, because it is a very different.
Sorry to butt in. Let's see, maybe again we can bring in our Zoom guest so that he can wait on it before the network again does the thing he knows how to do. Mr. Ishaya Ibrahim, are you on now? Can we have him?
It's good to have you, Ishaya. It's good to have you here. Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
All right.
So please, yes, we're talking about the welfare of the people, and of course the essence of
yes. Then we'll add it to the role. He is a journalist, and the role of the media, as provided for in Chapter 2, Section 2 of the Constitution. That's the obligation of the mass media. Your obligation.
Yes.
Can we tie it to the welfare of the people, holding government accountable to the welfare of the people? Can we do that?
Yeah. So thank you very much, Barrister, and I also greet the guests in the studio. I apologize for the delay in connecting. It's a network problem. So basically, as a journalist, our job is to hold government officials, the government itself, and people who are in charge of managing issues that have to do with the general public responsible uh, for and accountable for their various actions. And you would have noticed that if not for the media, the issues that came up in the humanitarian ministry would probably be swept under the carpet. The expose was done by the media, and then so the only thing to do is to encourage the media to police the government, because it's scandalous that the government goes about sharing money. I know that if you want to address structural poverty, you don't go about giving people physical cash. You will see that the government officials will say they're going to Kogi to go and share money to people. People are not wired to be so honest when they are giving money. So, and then we don't have the data to monitor such individuals. So, why embark on such a policy in the first place? It was a good thing that the government has scrapped that, suspended that policy in the first 6 weeks. I hope they scrap it completely. What should be done is to put this social support as part of the welfare of the people in terms of education, a part of welfare of the people in terms of health, and also in terms of public transportation. These things will go a long way to mitigate the incidence of poverty that we already have. So, going about giving people
sorry,
cash.
let me put in there.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me put in there. I don't know, maybe you have seen the ING vehicles that government said they will use in mitigating the issue of this fuel, removal of fuel subsidy. I don't know how many people have seen it and how many people have access to it. And the number of buses that they brought in, can one say that that can be can that be adequate to mitigate the problem? It's about the mitigation that you mentioned that made me to bring this issue out. Maybe you can just join that to this issue. Welfare package, various palliatives, as it there?
Yeah, fortunately for me, Barrister is a well-grounded constitutional lawyer, and we have engaged on these issues of structure of the country.
Yes.
Should the government in Abuja be doling out all sorts of aids and support to over 200 million Nigerians cut across almost 1 million square kilometer. That's not possible physically. So, advanced climes, government has been devolved in such a way that the local governments are fully responsible for welfare of the people at that level. And so, if, for instance, you're talking about public transportation, then you have the local government doing something about it, you will have the impact instantly. But in the case of Nigeria, the local governments are just there as an agency or government. The money entitled to them doesn't come, it comes at the discretion of the state governor. So whatever they're doing cannot be of any value, because what they get is up to 30% of the things that they're entitled to. So we must look at how to restructure our politics, our social fabric. We cannot afford to have a system where somebody in Abuja says he wants to address poverty, and then going about traveling from one state to another state. I mean, nobody will see that. That's like a drop in the mighty ocean. Nobody will see the impact. And we must have the local government play critical roles. And the only way to do that is for them to have control over resources in their domain. So that if, for instance, we're in areas where it is rich in agriculture, then the palliative will be centered around agriculture so as to make the trade of the people ease. If it's an area that is rich in oil minerals, and then they should also have a palliative that also puts into consideration the environment, because in such areas, farming will be almost an impossible task. So these are the kind of things that the government should be looking at, not to go about looking for who to give money to. If you give them this stipend and it is exhausted, what happens? To me, it's a scratching the surface, or it's even a playing to the gallery, because the government just seeks to get favorable headlines that they have roll out this social support, they have done this, and then it will be reported after some time. Then they go back to the old ways, and nobody says anything about the poor man. So the poor man must be given opportunity in terms of education. Let every child in Nigeria have access to quality education at a cost that is affordable. Let every child, let every poor person be able to walk into any government hospital and afford treatment. You don't need to be a millionaire to be able to afford treatment. And you know that poverty comes with a lot of disease. And so the poor people are more vulnerable to falling sick, because body immunity will naturally be weak. So that's my take, Barrister. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. In fact, you have weighed it down. I'm sorry for that issue. The way you weighed on it's going to collapse, and I hope it will collapse and it will be a thing of the past in this country, because those are the things. Just I really appreciate. Mr. Yeshaya has brought so many things up on the table.
Yes.
One of it is that they are just playing to the gallery, because how can you be giving people cash? How much? 10,000, 20,000. What would that buy? They go to it doesn't even take them away from the market.
Sure.
In fact, it does not take them to the market. They want to buy a rice, a family of 4, with 10,000 naira bailout or 20,000 naira. What would that? How would that do? Is the only rice that they are going to eat? What of yam? What of beans? What of if it's in the north, maize? What of if in this area, gari? What if it's in the other side, amala and lubo and all these things? What of your own area, any of the office? So what are we talking?
Of course, Ofakos.
So what are we talking about? I guess they play to the gallery, because I was thinking when they say that they are going to give money, it will be that they will just say people will send their account and they'll be putting 10 million, 20 million into everybody's account.
That will not solve the problem.
And that's what Shaya said. I don't solve the problem.
People fish, but teach them how to fish.
Can't solve the problem. Government should encourage the setting up of structures, businesses to thrive, make sure that there's electricity supply. I guess last time we were here, we talked about Mambila. Ever since I've been a kid, we've been talking about Mambila. This station is run 24/7 on generator, diesel. And any business that is thriving in Nigeria is on diesel. And if you're on diesel, definitely the cost of production will be very high.
And that is why we should not relent. Nigeria should not relent in holding these leaders accountable and responsible for their actions and inactions. I think the virtual guest also made that point clearly, because the media is also, they say that the journalists are the third estate.
Yeah, they are the third estate.
You know, they have to act as the watchdog.
No, the fourth estate
of the realm. Yes, so they have to ensure that government policies, how it's being implemented at every given opportunity. In fact, just recently, sometime this week, a friend of mine in Abuja, secured a landmark judgment, where when the NBC, sanctioned some stations over reportage involving insecurity in the country, and he went to court and said, no, you cannot sign, you cannot be a judge in your own case. So that is a developing
reaching our jurisprudence.
Very well. So if we follow government squarely, everybody plays their own role, we'll be able to achieve a meaningful success. Because if we leave it at the hands of government alone, they will do nothing. And it's important for because in Nigeria today, we see Nigerians immigrating in droves to acquire education. Don't we have educational system here? So, but because our own is not well funded, you know, it's in comatose, people are looking for alternatives, and they are making money for other countries. So we have to get it right, because when we talk about, you know, welfare, it's important to particularize it. That is education, good education. You know, our health sectors must be up and running. You know, the security, which is a key element of every government, is at the fulcrum of every government policy.
Let me just see if Malam Ishaya is still around. Is Malam Ishaya still around? Is he still around?
Yeah, Barrister, I can hear you.
Okay, that's good. He's still around. So, this simple question: the press, can you set up what we call a barometer? Do I call it a barometer now, or a yardstick? Taking into just like it's a very good time now. The budget has just been presented by all the state and even the federal government, and either they are at the approval stage or they are still being read and being worked on. But as soon as the implementation starts, is there a way the press will begin to benchmark? Yes, that's why I'm going benchmarking it. Look at it here. You said you'll be doing this in education. You say you'll be doing this in health. You say you'll be doing this in agriculture. Say you'll be doing this in blue economy and all the others, even in the works, delivering this number of kilometers of road bridges. Is it possible?
Yes. Thank you so much, Barrister, for that question. Because we have an organization, budget, that specifically does that. It tracks the delivery of budget.
Maybe the guest here will do that.
I think I've made the point that you know, the journalists are the fourth estate of the realm. So their responsibility is to monitor the stage of implementation of every government policies.
But must it be the journalists alone?
No. I'm just saying because that's their primary constituency anyway. But every Nigerian, every citizen must make it a duty.
Particularly, you know, I guess there will be something that should be done, so that what we'll do is that maybe we'll try as much as possible, God helping us. We'll look at a budget, pick it up, look at particularly in areas of projects.
I can assure you,
sorry,
80% of Nigerians, or even 90%, you know, may not even know the content of the budget.
That's why we are here.
Nobody.
That's why we are here.
You know, because that is the benchmark. That is what you are going to assess government.
That's what voters forum is all about.
All they know is that someone built a road there, how many kilometers. He wouldn't know if it's even last year's budget or this year's budget.
Yes.
So people are no longer interested in their government.
That's why voters forum.
So they have to be involved. Because if you are not involved, that is where they will do whatever they want to do, because they feel that is what is important to them. We have to tell them what is important to us. We voted them in, and they are there to represent us. And the basic essence of government is security and welfare. So that must be at the front burner of every government.
Okay, I want to say this. I totally agree with what Barrister and you have said. But within me, I'm like, okay, a lot of people are struggling to even feed. And you are asking them to put their minds into something that, yes, on the long run is going to work for them. And it is something that most of them are like, why is it happening to them? Now, how would you set the people's mind to be able to function in this direction we're trying to push them? Some persons even know what is in the budget. Some people know about it, but yet they are not even ready to focus or to put their energy into it. So how do we try to, you know, will I say change their mind or encourage them to, okay, set aside all of this? It's a long project thing. It's a thing that we have to start now so that in the next generation things will work out. What do you think we need to do for the people to be able to focus on this?
Well, like I said, people are already disenchanted. For their mindset to have a turnaround, the leaders must show sincerity of purpose, because they must see that their leaders have had a change of heart. They are now willing to do that upon which they are being voted in. So if there is no trust, if there is trust deficit, if there is no sincerity of purpose, because people live by hope. Much as people are passing through a lot in this period of time, just a word can give them hope to wait towards the realization of that common good or achieve that objective of the government. But if there is total lack of hope, there is total lack of trust, there is disenchantment, there is a whole lot of things, government don't care about their citizens. So it's going to cause a lot of, you know, issues that will even impede on the government itself for a few of them that may want to do that upon which they are being voted in. So it is a concerted effort. It is not a one-way something. Every hands must be on deck. And part of why this program is on air is to educate citizens of their rights and responsibilities. You have a civic responsibility, a civic role. It's not just going to cast your vote. You must also watch and observe how the leaders you have voted in are performing. And if they are not performing well, you should be able to voice it out. You should also be able to educate those who may not be able to make this, you know, assessment of their leaders. Yes. So if everybody comes on board, everybody becomes aware of what is happening, we begin to have some changes here and there.
Yes, changes. I guess that changes is what we want, so that ever since I've been in this country, it is suffer, suffer, suffer. And of course, Fela sang that song, suffer, 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 suffer for world. Without the government, every day you are struggling to make it. You are struggling to make a living. Nothing, whereas in other countries, and I'll not go too far. I remember my people that have gone to Libya. They say that government takes care of them. You see government, you feel government. You go to the store, you are given provisions. You go to the petrol station, you have a ration of fuel in your tank, in your car. You go to the textile, anywhere, there's always a ration for everybody who is downtrodden. And of course, that's why Gaddafi was there for a long
Nigeria,
time.
who is not downtrodden in Nigeria?
No, you are not with your Igwe
Who is
cap.
not downtrodden in Nigeria?
That's why he's not even talking for the people.
You know, there is no
Igwe
middle.
cap, it makes him to be.
There is no middleman in Nigeria anymore. It's you know, if you see that you are
No.
up or
Let's
you are down. I got your point.
let's now more be realistic. Is it difficult for government to really work out the welfare of the people? It's done in other countries. Is it difficult, or is just this selfish interest, greed, and avarice?
Exactly. That is
Selfishness?
it is, well, let me put it this way. You know, much as we envy the developed world and developed countries, you know, maybe because they are a bit ahead of us, that does not mean that everybody there is 100% okay. You know, every country has its own peculiar challenges. But the basics, what we are looking at is the basis, the fundamentals, the fulcrums. So why is government in place? Have you been able to meet the benchmark? There must be a benchmark. It is not all commerce affair.
Yeah.
If you are in government, you must place to a certain benchmark upon which you should be assessed. So that is what we are clamoring for. It is not difficult to get to that benchmark. Provision of infrastructure, health, education, security cannot be, a big issue
It shouldn't be
as
a
far
big
as we are
deal.
concerned. Because in the absence of all of this,
That's why Wahala
there is no
would be.
life. There is no life.
In fact, as a lawyer now, I know that Section 36, no, Section 33, a right to life.
Yes.
If all these things
It's
are
dependent on all of this. And that is why, in my introductory sentence, I said some of these beautiful, provisions that have to do with socio-economic rights, we are pushed to chapter 2, that you cannot even question government on what they are doing. If it were to be in chapter 4, where a citizen can go to court and ask the court for the government to provide these basic amenities, because that is what gives me sustenance. So it is a collaborative effort, it's a concerted effort, but the responsibility, the bulk of the blame must stop at the table.
So now let us, the way forward. Because obviously there must be a change, we can't continue. Your little advice to the government, to the people,
government,
to the press, three people here, yes, to the government.
The people and the press.
Must take it as a responsibility
Yes.
to provide the basic welfare for its citizens,
Good.
including security.
Good.
For the media,
Yes.
the media must remain ever
alert
to their responsibility in ensuring that they report every move of government on how the expenses are being done and towards implementations of their policies and programs. The third is what? To the people. The people
people
must get
themselves.
involved. They must get involved.
How?
If you are not there, you'll be out. So get involved and ensure that proper things are done.
I mean,
Let-
that's just one of the best advice. It's just like you just capped everything we just said today.
I told you the man is that cap is a wizard's cap.
Amazing.
That cap
so
is a
much.
wizard's cap. He's a wizard.
That's what we call it.
Oh, he's a dogu. It's all right then.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Barrister Kingsley Chime. It's been an exciting one. It's always an exciting one whenever you're on that seat. You don't. We give you a hot seat, but you make it cold.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you, our viewers, for joining us. It's been an amazing one. Thank you, Madam Ishaya, for also joining us all the way from Lagos. Still in Lagos, but you had to do everything to make sure you have to be on the program.
He's the editor
We
of the
appreciate
niche.
you. Yeah.
The niche
Editor
newspaper.
of the niche and also a journalist. It's good to have you, and we hope to have more of you on the program. My name is Rose Blossom. Until next week, have a fabulous weekend. Bye for now.
Fabulous weekend. Fabulous. You see, Rose is looking fabulous. That's why she wants us, all of us to have a fabulous weekend. That's all right. We'll all have a fabulous weekend. I'm Wale Ogunade, your host on this program. Don't please make it a date with us next week. We are bringing an interesting topic equally with a very interesting guest. Till then, stay out of trouble.